This is the Battle of the Gods by Soviet soldiers. In 1942, the Germans dispatched a division of troops, failed to take down a building, and stay inside. Only 25 Soviet soldiers. They held out for 58 days. Completely shocked the world. It's a miracle. So how did they do it? How was this battle fought? What happened to these soldiers in the end? July 17th, 1942. Soviet and German troops gather in the Stalingrad region, launched the worst war in World War II history, an unprecedented large-scale offensive and defensive battle. During the nearly 7-month battle, Nazi Germany committed over 1 million troops at its peak, 10,000 of a variety of guns, more than 500 tanks, and 700 aircraft. Is to do one thing: capture this strategic position on the Great Plains of Eastern Europe, the Soviet Union, in order to maintain this key position. More than 2.5 million troops were dispatched at most, 13,000 multiple guns, more than 4,000 tanks, and 1,100 aircraft. It can be said that in order to win this war, both sides of the Soviet Union did their best. As the scale continues to escalate, casualties are mounting. Battle of Stalingrad. It has also become a widely recognized turning point in World War II. In the long and cruel tug of war, every street in downtown Stalingrad, each factory, every building is a battleground for both sides. And among them, the most representative of the Pavlov building. It was originally a 4-story apartment building, located at the crossroads in the middle of Stalingrad. Downstairs side, it is the mother river of the fighting nation, the Volga River. On the other side is the famous 9th of January Square. Standing on the roof of this building, it offers a bird's eye view of the entire city center, within 1 kilometer in 4 directions, almost at a glance. And excellent views and location. It also gives it an extremely important strategic position. At that time, the Soviet army was the first descent. The strategic value of this building. Then Yakov Pavlov middle room. Troops with 1 card under them. Reinforce the building's house and defend the building. It is worth mentioning that Pavlov's faithful. In fact, there were only 24 soldiers. It was simply not satisfied with the Soviet army's card at that time. The establishment of 50 people. And the missing soldiers all died in the defense before. And even Pavlov himself can serve as platoon leader with Chinese plants, all because of the senior officers in the platoon, or unfortunate sacrifice, or they're too wounded to fight. And maybe at this point somebody's going to ask, why did the Soviets only send a cart full of whips to guard this strategic location? On one hand, it was because the Soviets really couldn't get any manpower out at that time. Only the remaining troops need to be invested in various parts of the city. In the central building, deploy half a platoon. I've done my best. On the other hand, although manpower catches the gold and sees the Axis, but the Soviets allocated a lot to this half guard. Weapons and equipment, including more than 10 PPS 4-1 submachine guns, a Mark King heavy machine gun, 3 boats PTRS 41 rebound gram, 2 RM Mitsubishi guns, and an uncounted number of Mazina Kadri guns and DPRS, 7 light machine guns. These weapons and equipment, basically the most advanced weapon in the losing army at the time. The PPS H41 is the famous Bobo killing submachine gun. DP Phase 2 is famous for its homophonic market period. Needless to say, the degree of excellent performance. I have to secure the strategic building, the Soviets did put some thought into it. So, what happened to the German army opposite them? Can you imagine 25 Soviet soldiers facing the attack of an entire German division? It lasted 58 days. What is the concept of fencing gods in World War I? September 1942, at the Battle of Stalingrad, in the Pavlov building, 25 Soviet troops. Base. It was the 71st Division of the Wehrmacht Army. From the date of establishment of the line, It is the rare first-class division of Jingwei in the German army. 3 infantry regiments full of chasha and an artillery regiment, equipped with a large number of armored vehicles and 3 assault guns. The previous French campaign. In major battles such as the Battle of Kiev, you can see the figure of the 71st Division, especially during the Battle of Kiev. It should be fought in a way that is not afraid of death. World War I fame. Because its ashes are clover, also known as the Clover Master. April 1942. This elite unit transferred to German Army Group South. Prepared to attack as one of the main forces, Stalingrad, however, with the might of the great sage, high-spirited German 71st Division soldiers. I'm afraid I don't know yet. They're going to hell in the wild? Waiting for yourself will only be annihilated. On July 17th, the Soviet and German armies launched a frontal contact. The Battle of Stalingrad officially broke out. The German 71st Division was the main force. Chang'an city center, Mamayev Port, and the Pavlov building in the center of Mamayev Port. It's the point that the Germans are determined to take. From mid-September, Sujun Pavlov, Chinese style and other 25-person flying choreography, has been strengthening the building's defenses. Outside the building, covered with a large number of mines targeting infantry, 4 layers of barbed wire and sandbags, protected the building. It can be said that the Germans wanted to break into the building. It takes dozens of times the usual manpower. And inside the building, sandbag formulas are placed in the corridor and doorway. And in the direction of the square, that is, every window in the direction of the German attack. They all carry a DP-27 light machine gun. Top of the building. Even carried a Mark Arrow heavy machine gun and 3 boats of anti-tank guns. And not only that, and there's solid ground in the building, ammunition is stored in the lower room. Food, drinking water, and other supplies. Suhan can fully rely on this building to resist. A long time. But then someone might ask, now that the Soviets have laid down heavy loads in the building, firepower and massive supplies, then the Germans directly send fighter jets or tanks. Just blow up the building. Why attack? And this has to mention the German and Soviet war. The surgery is different. We all know that. What the Germans did best during World War II was the Blitz. With the help of guns. Joint tactics such as Butin coordination and air coordination. They are unbeatable in Europe. Until I met the Soviets. To counter the German blitzkrieg, Soviet commander Kuykov invented close quarters tactics. Now the Soviet army is rushing, interspersed with the front lines, and engaged the Germans at close range. Put the German army's hot tanks and fighter jets into action. Don't dare to attack at will. And the Battle of Stalingrad. It can be said that this tactic, a place to flourish. The Germans suffered from the poor performance of submachine guns. Soldiers do not sit high in close combat. He suffered greatly in the battle with the Soviet army, actually including the Pavlov building, the entire Mamayev Port area. The Germans did not dare to launch a large-scale artillery bombardment or bombing, because at that time, the Soviet and German sides kept adding troops here. Sometimes, the commander doesn't know where the front is recommended. Where is your own army? This is the Battle of the Gods by Soviet soldiers. 25 people were summarily executed in a building in 1942. Actually, withstood an entire German division. It lasted 58 days. It's a miracle in the history of war. The Soviet Union and Germany are at every barbed wire fence, every corridor, and every room is fiercely contested. Standing in the dumbest place, the Sudanese soldiers were only separated by a wall. You can even hear each other's breathing. In fact, the battle for the Pavlov building, it is the truest manifestation of the Soviet army's close-fitting tactics. To take Stalingrad, the Germans had to give up their firepower advantage, start small-scale solo battles that you were not good at. Facing the sturdy Pavlov building, the Germans were furious. I wanted to call for shelling. The place where they bombed this strategic location they have coveted for a long time. But on the one hand, there are military casualties. On the other hand, they also want to seize the city center. The Germans finally did not dare to call for shelling. Instead, a No-3 assault gun was pulled from the rear. Remember that the 3 rear assault gun is designed specifically for tanks. Developed for heavy firepower such as bunkers, an improved F-type was used in this battle. Zhang was also unscathed at zero cost. Destroyed 9 Soviet T-34 tanks. However, even this powerful assault gun, there's nothing we can do about the Pavlov building, because the Soviet army never stops. Anti-tank rifles on the rooftop easily shredded the crops of German assault guns. And because it is too close to the building, the elevation angle is not enough. 3 assault guns can't do anything with anti-tank guns, watching them pierce their armor. Ultimately, you can only escape the battlefield. Fight to the end. The German 71st Division launched several charges a day. And from time to time, tanks are brought in from the rear. Attempt to break through the building's defenses while the Soviets were unprepared. As a result, the Germans often faced the following situation. Tanks supported from a distance. First, it was pierced by an anti-tank gun. Then the infantry are on the charge. Suffer mark into heavy machine gun. DP-2 light machine gun fire. When they rushed into the corridor. And face-to-face rate of fire. A PPSH-4 one submachine gun faster than your back. And on the way to a hasty retreat, the Soviet sniper in the building has started Yama's roll call again. In this case, the Germans knew they couldn't attack. Lower Pavlov building, just surround it and prepare to consume the Soviet army. And the point that made the Germans most desperate came. Even with their most clumsy siege, it doesn't pose much of a threat to the Soviet army. As mentioned before, downstairs side of the Pavlov building, the Volga, the Soviets could use ferries every day. A steady stream of shipments into the building, 25 Soviet soldiers in the supply building. In fact, I don't learn martial arts, so even in the heat of the battle, the Germans have entered the corridor. The Soviets could fight them for rooms. From September 27th to November 25th, 1942, there hasn't been a single ceasefire in 58 days. The Soviets surrounded the building. A brutal tug of war began. The Germans were in the square in front of the building every day. Leave piles of corpses behind. Still can't break it. It is worth mentioning that of the 25 Soviet soldiers in the first building, there are Russians, Ukrainian, Georgian, Tajik, Uzbeks, Kazakhs, Dada Jews. They share the same beliefs and cultural divide. Let's fight together for the Soviet mother. In the basement of the building, and 10 Soviet civilians without iron. They also spontaneously joined the battle to defend the building. Transporting supplies for the soldiers. Cast intelligence. Ultimately, as the Soviet army switched to a strategic counteroffensive, 25 soldiers and 10 civilians from the 13th Division of the Soviet Guard successfully defended the city center building. After the battle, the Soviet Union, according to the building commander, Yakov Pavlov's faithful name, they named it the Pavlov Building. He himself was also awarded the honorary title of Hero of the Soviet Union. According to statistics, in order to capture the Pavlov Building, during casualties, more people than were killed in the invasion of Paris. And the German elite who mainly attacked the building, Shamrock Infantry Division, raped in battle. It can be said that they are negative, achieved the battle of consecration of Soviet soldiers.